The battles of the Galinas foreshadow of the Blood Diamond War. Once called the Galinas, the enclave adjoining the boundary between Sierra Leone and Liberia has suffered more than its fair share of violence. It may have been different times and different contexts, but the motivation remained the same: money and power. Between 1991 and 2002, a man named Foday Sankoh oversaw a reign of terror in Sierra Leone. His Revolutionary United Front waged a campaign of blood in the diamond-rich eastern province of the small West African country. From these grounds, the Blood Diamonds funded his murderous hold on the country. This story, however, is not about Foday Sankoh and his RUF cutthroats. It is about historical parallels and how an unfettered quest for wealth can change men to beasts. Now step back with me in time and see that this land was no stranger to bloodshed before the RUF. About 175 years ago, this very place was the battleground for two warring dynasties led by two cousins, Siaka Massaquoi and Amara Lalu, both Muslims, both vie with some Mandingo lineage, both shouldering the fate of their clans. These had connived with notorious slave merchants like Jacob Faber and Pedro Blanco to sabotage the international ban on the transatlantic slave trade. A new slave hub had opened in Cuba to feed the sugarcane farms with free labor. The Galinas became the factory from where the ships were loaded with human cargo. It was a boom at the time when the Atlantic slave trade should have been winding down. Siaka and Amara did not hesitate to shed blood to control the trade. Stay with me to navigate the forces that drove them and the tension that brought them on the eventual collision course. The rains had come early that year, heavy and insistent, turning the forest paths into red-brown rivers and the Galinas lowlands into a trembling mirror of sky. Siaka stood beneath the broad leaves of a cola tree, watching the swollen river churn. The water was restless, like the land itself, like the people, like the future he could feel pressing against him. Behind him, his scouts waited in silence. They knew better than to interrupt when Siaka was thinking. His thoughts were not like other men's. They moved slowly, deliberately, like a python coiling around its prey. He saw patterns where others saw chaos. He saw consequences where others saw opportunity. And he saw Amara Lalu, always Amara Lalu, standing in the way of everything he intended to build. Siaka closed his eyes. The river roared louder. Amara Lalu's camp lay upriver, perched on a ridge of black earth and ancient cotton trees. His warriors moved like sparks around him, laughing, sharpening blades, boasting of raids past and raids to come. The air smelled of palm oil, sweat, and the smoke of cola nut fires. Amara Lalu sat on a carved wooden stool, his chest bare, his arms marked with the scars of battles he wore like jewelry. His laughter rolled across the camp, deep and unrestrained. But when he was alone, the laughter faded. He walked to the edge of the ridge and looked down at the river. The same river Siaka watched, the same river that had once bound them together. He remembered the early days, before the traders, before the forts, before the British patrols prowled the coast like hungry spirits. He and Siaka had fought side by side then, two young men with nothing but ambition and the fire of youth. But ambition grows teeth, and fire consumes. Amara Lalu spat into the river. "Let him come," he muttered. "Let Siaka try." The first clash came at dawn. Siaka's men moved like shadows through the mist, their feet silent on the wet earth. They struck Amara Lalu's outpost with precision, quick, clean, controlled. Siaka had no interest in chaos. Chaos was Amara Lalu's domain. The outpost fell in minutes. But Amara Lalu did not retreat. He retaliated. By midday, smoke rose from 3 villages loyal to Siaka. Women fled with children tied to their backs. Canoes overturned in the river as warriors clashed along the banks. The forest echoed with the crack of muskets and the sharp metallic ring of cutlasses. The land had chosen violence. That night, Siaka sat in council. The firelight carved deep shadows across his face. "They say Amara Lalu fights like a man possessed," one elder whispered. "He fights like a man who knows he is losing," Siaka replied. But even as he spoke, he felt the weight of the conflict pressing against him. Amara Lalu was not a man easily cornered. He was a storm, unpredictable, destructive, and strangely beautiful in his fury. Siaka respected him, and that respect made the war heavier. Amara Lalu's camp was alive with celebration. They had struck hard, burned deep, and returned with captives and spoils. His warriors danced around the fire, their bodies slick with sweat and palm oil. But Amara Lalu sat apart, staring into the flames. He knew Siaka would not be shaken by a few burning villages. Siaka was a builder, a planner, a man who thought in seasons, not days. Amara Lalu thought in moments, and moments were slipping away. He felt it, the slow tightening of Siaka's strategy around him. The alliances Siaka forged inland, the traders who quietly shifted their loyalties, the scouts who vanished into the forest and never returned. The storm was beginning to break. The decisive confrontation came on the banks of the Moro River. Siaka's forces held the high ground, their muskets dry, their shields ready. Amara Lalu's warriors surged upward in waves, shouting, singing, daring death to take them. The battle was not elegant, it was raw, it was personal. Siaka fought with the calm of a man who had already seen the outcome. His blade moved with precision, each strike measured, each step calculated. Amara Lalu fought like a man who refused to die quietly. His voice rose above the clash of steel, above the screams, above the river's roar. For a moment, just a moment, the two men saw each other across the chaos. Siaka's eyes were steady. Amara Lalu's burned. They did not speak. They did not need to. Everything between them, years of rivalry, respect, betrayal, ambition, hung in the space of that single glance. Then the moment passed, and the river swallowed the rest. When the fighting ended, the forest was quiet. Smoke drifted through the trees. The Moro River carried away the blood of both armies. Amara Lalu was gone. Some said he fell in battle. Some said he fled into the deep forest. Some said the river claimed him as it claimed all restless spirits. Siaka did not search for the body. He stood on the riverbank, listening to the water churn, and felt no triumph. Only the heavy silence of a victory that cost too much. He had won the land, but he had lost the only man who ever understood the weight of ruling it. In the years that followed, Siaka built his kingdom. Strong, disciplined, feared, trade flowed, alliances held. The Galinas region bent to his will. But sometimes when the rains came early and the river swelled with restless water, Siaka would stand beneath the cola tree and watch the current twist and churn. And he would think of Amara Lalu, the warrior, the rival, the brother he never named. The river between them had taken him, but it had never let him go.